The wind howled through the barren trees, carrying with it a chilling foreboding. It was Halloween night, and the grand mansion on the hill had come alive with eerie lights and haunting music. The invitations to the masquerade had been eagerly accepted by those who craved an evening of mystery and excitement. Among the guests was Sarah, a young woman with a fascination for the supernatural. She had chosen to wear a mask that resembled a raven, its dark feathers hiding her identity as she mingled with the other partygoers. The mansion's massive doors swung open, revealing a cavernous hall adorned with cobwebs and flickering candlelight. The atmosphere was electric with an undercurrent of unease. Sarah made her way through the crowd, her heart pounding as she glimpsed the opulent decor that whispered of a forgotten era. Portraits of stern-faced ancestors lined the walls, their eyes following her every move. She couldn't shake the feeling that they were watching, judging her every step. As the night wore on, Sarah found herself drawn to a group of revelers huddled around an antique mirror. Their murmurs grew louder as they gazed at their reflections, each one's face twisted into a grotesque visage. Sarah's curiosity got the better of her, and she joined the group. "Look at your reflection, Sarah," one of them whispered, their voice trembling with fear. Sarah leaned in, her heart pounding in her chest. Her raven mask stared back at her, but beneath it, her eyes seemed to have turned black as coal. She stumbled back in shock, ripping the mask from her face. The reflection in the mirror returned to normal. "Did you see it?" one of the guests asked. Sarah nodded, her voice a mere whisper. "I saw it. My eyes, they were black." The guests exchanged nervous glances, but the music and laughter from the other rooms continued to echo through the mansion, drowning out their unease. Sarah decided to put the unsettling incident behind her and enjoy the party. As the night grew later, Sarah found herself in the mansion's library, a room filled with ancient tomes and faded manuscripts. The shelves seemed to stretch endlessly into the darkness. She perused the titles, drawn to a particularly dusty volume titled The Secrets of the Haunting. Curiosity piqued, she pulled it from the shelf and began to read. The book contained accounts of ghostly apparitions, unexplained phenomena, and strange occurrences that had plagued the mansion for generations. As she delved deeper into the text, Sarah realized that the descriptions of the supernatural events mirrored the strange occurrences at the party. She couldn't help but wonder if there was a connection. Suddenly, the door to the library slammed shut behind her. Sarah jumped, her heart racing as she tried to open it, but it wouldn't budge. Panic set in as she realized she was trapped. "Is anyone there?" she called out, her voice trembling. There was no response. The room grew colder, and the candles lining the shelves flickered ominously. Sarah turned back to the book, desperate for answers. As she continued to read, the pages began to change before her eyes, the ink shifting and forming new words. The text described a malevolent spirit that had taken residence in the mansion, feeding off the fear and despair of those who entered. It was said to possess the power to manipulate reality itself. Sarah's pulse quickened as she read on, realizing that the spirit's true name was hidden within the book. With trembling hands, she deciphered the cryptic symbols and spoke the name aloud, hoping it would free her from this nightmarish ordeal. But instead of release, the room plunged into darkness. The candles extinguished, and Sarah was left in pitch blackness, her breath coming in shallow gasps. She felt a presence in the room with her, a malevolent force that seemed to seep through the very walls. Whispers echoed in the darkness, and Sarah felt icy fingers brush against her skin. She stumbled backward, blindly trying to find a way out. The whispers grew louder, filling her mind with dread. "Who are you?" she cried out. "What do you want?" A sinister laugh echoed through the room, sending shivers down her spine. "I am the spirit that haunts this mansion, the one you sought to uncover. And now, you are mine." In the mansion's ballroom, the party continued, oblivious to Sarah's plight. The guests danced and laughed, their masks concealing their true identities. But as the night wore on, the atmosphere grew increasingly sinister. People began to notice strange occurrences, the music slowing to a haunting melody, the candles flickering erratically, and the portraits on the walls seeming to come to life, their eyes filled with malice. The revelers exchanged nervous glances, their masks unable to hide their growing fear. In the library, Sarah struggled to maintain her composure as the spirit's presence closed in around her. It whispered chilling promises of eternal torment, its icy grip tightening with each passing moment. Desperate, Sarah remembered the legend from the book. The spirit could be defeated by confronting its greatest fear. She closed her eyes and concentrated, trying to discern what could possibly terrify such a malevolent force. As she did, she recalled the story she had heard about the mansion's original owner, a cruel and sadistic man who had met a gruesome end. It was said that he had been obsessed with mirrors, collecting them from all over the world. And his greatest fear had been seeing his own reflection in one of those mirrors, a reflection that revealed the darkness of his soul. With newfound determination, Sarah opened her eyes and called upon the spirit to reveal itself. She could sense its hesitation, its fear that she might uncover its true form. With a final defiant shout, she demanded that the spirit show itself in the nearest mirror. A blood-curdling scream filled the room as the spirit obeyed, its grotesque form materializing in the mirror before her. It was a monstrous, shadowy figure with eyes that gleamed with malevolence. Sarah knew she had found the spirit's greatest fear, the reflection of its own darkness. The spirit writhed in agony, its form contorting and twisting as it struggled to escape the mirror's grip. Sarah watched in horror as it was pulled into the glass, disappearing with one final agonized scream. The room began to brighten as the candles relit themselves, and the door to the library swung open. Sarah stepped out, her body trembling with exhaustion. She had faced the malevolent spirit and emerged victorious. As she rejoined the party, she found that the atmosphere had returned to normal. The guests, still wearing their masks, were dancing and laughing once more, seemingly unaware of the horrors that had unfolded. Sarah realized that the spirit's influence had extended only to those who had been aware of its presence. With the entity banished, the mansion had returned to its former state of eerie beauty. But Sarah couldn't forget the darkness that lurked within the mansion's walls. She knew that the spirit would return one day, seeking revenge. She also knew that she would be ready to face it once more, armed with the knowledge of its true weakness. As the night drew to a close, Sarah slipped out of the mansion, the moonlight casting eerie shadows on the grounds. She had survived the haunting. For more scary horror stories, please subscribe.